Hi, and welcome to the 71st podcast episode of Keen Minds. We're covering NBC's The Blacklist, Season 6, Episode 5, Alter Ego. I'm Jen, a.k.a. Takata Saiko.
And I'm Tessa. How did you like it?
I loved it. Had a little bit of miscommunication with my brain the first round through, where I thought that Red was aware that Tim was his buddy's heir and was using a emotionally vulnerable man to manipulate him to his own gain. But then a friend pointed out this morning before I got to do my rewatch that Red was not aware of that information when Dembé actually approached him. So that was Dembé's choice. And I felt a lot less angry because I had some really fresh anger towards Red on that one.
Yeah, that doesn't take much, though, lately.
It doesn't, but I mean...
Ever since 508, Red has been on our watch list for Jen.
It's... all of Season 5 was... I don't know. It just, like, the imposter theory, all of that has just been troublesome for me.
Well, I don't believe... Okay. I do believe he's an imposter in the sense of an imposter is somebody using a name not his own, which the show already tells us because that's how they describe Tonkin. I think we've said this before on the podcast.
We have an echo going of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, it's what happening with the show. There's the same stories over and over. So you kind of run out of things to say because you already said them once. So you're going to keep saying them, but they're going to sound the same.
But anyway, after my rewatch and going, oh, I was getting my timelines mixed up, then I very much enjoyed it. I loved the Blacklister. I thought it was a really interesting concept. Definitely fits in with the identity theme that we've got going and have had going for the entire show. Mm-hmm. It was really nice. And so,
can I say that it's the situation with Red and the young kid was similar to me to the NSA agent that he rescues in the Courier and he exchanges his for one favor. You know, it wasn't like an ongoing, give me whatever information you want.
Was it like poor Nick Corporal that, took money one time?
Nick had elastic morals and once Tom told him, don't take that money. He did. It was on his own peril. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been in that situation.
Yep.
But it was like that situation with the NSA kid and Seth that gave him the one favor to find the fucking murder. And I realize that sounds very weird, but that's the name of the guy, fucking.
So, it's just like, wait.
Yeah, I was saying, it's like, oh my God, and then I realized that's probably why they put it in there. They don't know how to call the murder, so they needed a murder, and they just call it the Victor fucking murder.
Was it Falking? Was that?
Falking, yes.
Okay.
Victor fucking murder.
It just sounds...
It's a lovely sense of humor. I love those little things. Anyway, they have. It's same as they had the Campolongo incident, and Campolongo was one of the writers. And I guess he was supposed to set up an incident and it became the Campolongo incident. I love those little,
Oh, I would love to be a fly on the wall in the writer's room. Would love to. I'm sure some of the most entertaining conversations happen in there.
Mm-hmm. So,
do you want to...
Can we talk about first wrestler?
Okay, we want to start in on Wrest?
I want to start on Wrestler because I thought that there was such a wealth of things on Wrestler in that thing. I
agree. Yeah. I loved Wrestler in this one. I'm not a Keenler shipper. I never have been. I've dabbled with the idea that maybe he was interested in her at certain points during the show. Not sure if that was the case or not at this point, but regardless, I personally have never shipped it, but I have always very, very much enjoyed their partnership and their friendship, and I've really missed it, because we haven't really seen her world that she's been so sucked into has kind of left him on the outskirts, even though he's still working within it. It's just kind of been bizarre. She's kind of been out on her own, especially since Tom died, and she's been going after the bones, and I feel like Liz, to a degree...
She's there, but not there.
Yeah, I mean, because she made the comment to Jennifer at one point. She said, everybody that sought these out has died. And so, I mean, if you think about it, there's a good chance she's trying to protect her team, at least to a degree. Part of it's that she has trust issues, which who would blame her? I mean,
well, she's always been a dark character, something that most of the Keen fans have been aware of, always.
But it's been good this season, and this episode was exceptional for it, with them just working together very well. I thought it was a good balance between it, because he was also working with Samar, and we saw them all sort of work together and as a unit, which is how it would work. I mean, and so that was nice. And then I loved his little, I would never lie about who I am. Like, we all know who you are, Russ, but
yeah, well, I thought that it was lovely, the fact that they introduced, first, we're getting so many things, parallels back, and in a way, that's one of my little pet peeves with this, is starting to feel like season 5, with lots and lots and lots of parallels, but very little meat in here. It's starting to get me a little on my nerves. Like, you cannot do this for 20 episodes and then spring everything in episode 22.
Yeah, it'd be nice. That's been my complaint this season. That they feel like very well done fillers. I mean, which is great for season 4, maybe even season 5. As long as there's interesting stuff happening, because they've been interesting episodes.
Oh yeah, very well done. But
they've been very, very small movements. Not a lot of information gained, and very, very tiny movements forward.
Episodes with Jennifer's. They were supposed to have put Red in jail in order to investigate him. But if Liz is investigating, I have no idea what she's doing.
It's all being done off camera, which I disagree with. I mean,
it's like the same. Okay, I got it. She found Dover on her own because I probably saved 6 episodes of it. I get it. But if you're going to do the entire investigation off camera and just start presenting things, it just starts to feel weird. And then we get to Wrestler. First, Wrestler goes like, it's not like a broken record. Like, yeah, they're at the service of Reddington, yada, yada, yada. Every episode we get this little like thing about him. So I imagine that this is going somewhere with it. That at the end of the season, either Wrestler would be like, I'm done with this, or he'd be the one given the tip on the next tip on Reddington. I think that they're going somewhere with this, because every episode, Wrestler is complaining about working with Red. And now we know Wrestler lost the squeaky clean feel. Now he is like a no poo instead of the full shampoo, even though his hair is still unmovable. But, there is nothing squeaky clean about him. He has tasted the dark side. He carried bodies that somebody was cleaning, and did everything that the cleaner told him to do. And then Red killed the cleaner, and he just said, yeah, sure, I'm bothered by it, but here's a letter.
I actually think that he had a lot of an issue with Red taking that into his own hands. I mean, that opened it up so that he couldn't turn himself in for it, which would have absolved at least some of his guilt over the whole situation. And I think that that's a very complicated situation with how he handles, how he reacts with Reddington, because he made the comment at the time, he's like, okay, so now I've just basically exchanged one master for another, and Red's like, I would never do that to you. Yeah. And I think that does, just because Red wouldn't do it to him doesn't mean that Wrestler doesn't feel like it's still an underlying sort of thing. So he may feel that pressure still from that. And it may also
it just doesn't ring true anymore for me.
It may also be that it's like he's come over this hurdle and he doesn't want to go back. And so, when people like they go against their morals,
But do you think that is real?
Hang on, let me finish here. When people go against their moral code, and then they feel, even if nobody else knows that they feel guilty, so they overcompensate. This could be an overcompensation situation where, all right, well, I'm done with that, it's done, and now I need to be even more of the perfect FBI agent. And I don't know, that may be where they're going with it, but I think we're seeing signs that it's not quite that way, because we saw in the pawnbrokers where he showed compassion to the widower.
We talked about it in the podcast.
Yep. So he showed compassion there. This episode where, I mean, he immediately goes, I wouldn't, I'm not going to live a lie, which is something he's been doing, that he did for over a year.
He went right ahead and did it.
And I think that was him basically saying, okay, I was fooling myself. I really do want to appear this way to my family. I want them to think I'm okay. I want to present this version of myself. Honestly, I hope that they give him somebody. Like
Gina, come on with that elevator scene. That wasn't going right back to Gina.
I said we were joking before the podcast started, before we started recording. Said Gina's out of work with St. Regis done or something. St. Regis is no more, so Gina's moonlighting at this company, and she ends up his date.
Maybe she took a vacation in New York, and the weather was terrible, or in Washington. She decided that instead she just take a light work. Hey, I'm just gonna temp for a couple of days.
People aren't gonna shoot at her there, I mean, they're not shooting at her. They're not trying to stab her. Nothing horrible's going on. She's just gonna go with some guy to his, cousin's wedding. Holy crap! It's Agent Don.
Maybe sees a picture of him and say, "I remember this guy. We had so much fun in that elevator. That almost felt like foreplay."
I think it was for her. I think Gina likes to be the rough one.
She likes it rough. Yeah, she likes it rough.
Did you see how she treated Tom when he went for her help? Slams him up against the wall. Yeah, that's just how Gina says hi.
Yeah, it's definitely. I would love to see that, but I love the fact that we had that elevator scene. There was a parallel. We then had what other parallel? Then there was more. Remember that elevator scene with LeBron in the Thrushes? There's this older Asian guy with the little really Asian girls.
There wasn't a fight.
Oh yes, it was a fight. But the two Asian, the two they look like little kids, like really young women, and they kicked LeBron's ass.
Yeah, you're right. No, I'd forgotten about that.
It was. They had like a little umbrella, and they just. It just didn't last long, but it was also like these two really badass Asian women kicking this guy's ass, and they had like two bodyguards with him, and they just completely like took them out. It was awesome. So I love the fact that we're getting this backflashes to all these scenes.
There's a choreographer that works for the Blacklist that loves close-in spaces.
Yes, and they're awesome. What did you think about? Well, then I love the fact that Wrestler actually, he's contemplating this, and he himself goes to get and become a fantasy, and I love it. I mean, I'm going to tell you why, because Wrestler has been the one continuously saying, I hate magic. I hate magic. I hate magicians and lap dogs, and I really hate dogs and bicycles. And so Wrestler we had a long list of things that we knew Wrestler hated. And I think it's interesting that we are getting now Wrestler going for his first taste of a charade, of creating an impression of doing something that is not real, but it looks real.
Well, I would, outside of work, because he's very good undercover. I mean, we've seen him, in season 1, he had an undercover op, where he was...
Yeah, I didn't think he was that good, but...
Well, I mean, he's supposed to be portrayed as pretty good. But he's gone undercover as something other than a dirty cop before, and
but not that kind of situation, which is personal. And,
well, that's what I said. Outside of work.
Yeah. So in that sense, I think that it was excellent that they had that, and then he like Liz was teasing him, like this is perfect because this woman is also a criminal, so it will give you like instant cred to go and to your cousin's wedding that hates cops and with this small time criminal.
In New York. It's still legal in New York, right? Pot? Selling pot? Oh, no,
Nope,
DC. No, it's DC, and which is
it's
legal
DC.
there. So she's good.
It's legal there, yeah.
Yeah.
In New York is not.
Yeah.
They,
Sometimes I forget that they're not supposed to be in New York.
I don't know.
It's really bad.
And I love the fact that there was another little thing about another throwback to early seasons when Liz is acknowledging his other, you know, little peccadillo with the drug addiction. He also says you were amazing in there, and then Ressa just makes fun, makes fun and says, "Yes, I was." And then we repeated this in this episode, like, we know you're amazing. And he says, yeah, I know that's right, that I'm amazing. So we're getting all these things that are very subtly bringing back the early seasons. I found that very interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Wrestler in this episode. It was props to Diego.
Mm.
And so, any thoughts on Samar and Aram, because their storylines were pretty well tied this episode?
Yeah, I mean, you know that I'm not a shipper, and everything here was about shipping. So, Samar, where are they going with this aphasia? I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
All I hope is that they do. That's my one request.
I mean, for me, they can just leave it. And I'm fine. I mean, they get along. She was a little bitch at the beginning.
Well, I think she's under pressure with it and scared, but I think it's kind of silly to think that that Aram, apparently I have a different ship that I wasn't even aware of, that Aram wouldn't pick up on anything about this. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I find it kind of funny, but it was, I thought it was cute. I am a shipper, so I thought it was cute that at the end she shared that with him, and I hope that means that eventually she's going to share the struggle itself with him, not just the fix.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something is going on in there, so I don't know. But it wasn't that much. It was not much about Cooper. But I have to say something about Cooper. Did you notice one more time that whenever it comes to a case that Wrestler and Liz and everybody's saying, like, this means nothing. Let's go after what's important. And Cooper says, no. There's something that doesn't add up. He always works towards covering Red's behinds. He
made the comment in this episode. He said, and it was a very interesting comment, I thought. He said, if he gets out, we want him to be as strong as he can be, or something like that. And I thought, well, where's the limit there, Coop? Because, okay, you want him to be as strong as he can be. How far are you going to go for that? Because this man is a murderer, a gun runner. I mean, he has done many, many bad things for his empire that he's built. And things that they've seen, things that they have stood there and watched him do. And so, they knew what they were getting into when they made the deal with him. So I understand letting a lot of that slide, and I'm not opposed to it because otherwise you wouldn't have a story. But just the phrasing on that was interesting to me because it came across. I wasn't sure where the limit for that would be. And maybe Cooper doesn't know.
Well, and that goes back again to a phrase Wrestler used in The Deer Hunter when he told Liz, it's a matter of numbers. It's never going to be okay, but it's a matter of numbers. And that's exact same thing that Cooper said. How many people have we saved? Good people, honest people that are not criminals, have we saved with Red's help? So he has killed a few criminals. It's again is a matter of numbers. If Red were not doing these things, what would happen to these people? They would be tried. They would probably be found guilty, and they would be stuck in a prison and all that. So it's taking the vigilante thing, and it's an age-old diatribe. Where is a limit, and where is right and wrong? And I find it very interesting that at every turn Like Cooper did the same thing, for example, when Red was trying to keep Carla Reddington away from the task force, and they gave them the Linus Creel case, and Cooper is like, well, first let's take care of this, and then we'll go for the wife. By then he will have spirited her away, and we will not find her. But the same thing happened here. Is like, we need to find this guy, we need to do this, and that's Red's agenda. So when the things get tough, Cooper will always try to help Red with his agenda. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Blacklister, the company?
Well, it's interesting because the company itself wasn't, while it was named after Alter Ego, they weren't.
Thank you.
They were definitely more in the gray than in the black there. It was actors.
They were totally white.
Okay, I wouldn't call them totally white. That's
Pure
some really morally
snow.
sketchy stuff.
It's perfectly legal.
Legal, sure. Morally sketchy, though. Definitely morally sketchy. And it depends on how far they go. Because I found myself wondering this while I was watching. How deep do they go? Because, quote unquote, Deidre. Deidre? Was that her?
Deidre, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't remember what her name was supposed to be, like the real name. But Deidre's driver's license only went back 12 months. So was that something that Alter Ego provided her with? Is that, if they do, then that's a fake ID. That is illegal. And so that was my question, is how deep does this go? The chick that is going to wrestler's cousin's wedding, if someone asks her for an ID, or is she going to hand them a fake ID? If they're flying, is she going to fly under a fake passport?
By the way, your spec thing, spot on. I thought so much about it in this episode, especially as we walk and we'll see all these people.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it'll be okay for what I'm using it for.
Yeah.
I think it was different enough. It was different enough.
I found one of the things that I'm getting, like, and I'm calming down about being so upset about the lack of mythology, because once they had the Alter Ego and the number they put them in, 131, I'm like, yes, thank you very much. I know that my work in cracking the number code is spot on. And it's going to take a long time because it's a very tough thing to crack. But I know that I'm doing it the right thing.
Well, oh, sorry.
No.
Oh.
You have something? Because, no.
Oh, I thought you were still going.
I am.
Oh, then go.
Oh, okay. So one of the most interesting things about that, I was so excited because what they were providing essentially was a covert agent.
Hmm?
And so there you have this covert, it's basically an agency like the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, providing...
Or St. Regis.
Yes, providing covert operatives or actors to perform a part with the object of something, of gaining something or preventing something or doing whatever it is. The only thing is this is openly done and the other ones is not openly done. But the essential thing, it was exactly the same. And we have had in every season, we have had a story that involves covert operatives. In season 4, it was Ilya Surkov with a covert agent that then gets completely giving a burn notice and his existence is denied, and then all the other agents that think they're working for him. Then we had Tom with St. Regis and Gina. We had now Katerina Rostova being a covert agent, and now we know that whoever Red is not his name. So I thought it was very interesting that this story takes that. And then we have so many parallels that takes us right back to that. You got this guy who grew up with knowing Tim. He didn't know who his father was.
Or his mother. because
his,
the fake sister was found when Dietra encouraged him to look for a birth certificate, and that's what led them to what may or may not have been his mother, but it was an
yeah,
alias
it was
set
a
up to,
cover
yeah,
to introduce a fake sibling like Christopher.
makes me
That
wonder
by
about
the
Jennifer.
uh, well, yeah, I'll go there. That a fake sibling that sounded a lot like Christopher Malley, who was playing the part of Craig King, and then also brings me back to how on earth did Konstantin Rostov went to Scotty Hargrave and hire her, unless he knew her as the fake sister of Katerina or whatever it was, but something in there is also going there. Um, we had um, a shoe story. They met because her shoe got stuck. That's how she got into meeting him in a bowling alley. Um,
I never really understood what that was supposed to mean. Like, where was her shoe stuck?
I don't know, somewhere in the thing. And
Like,
then he came and
how do you get your shoe stuck there? I mean, it didn't make sense to me.
I guess that's the best she could have come up with to
I
so be
mean,
the damsel in distress, and then they met and all that. But we had a Tom story with the brown shoes, and we also have continuous images of red brown shoes. So we're getting like all our parallels are beginning to converge, and each parallel is not coming from one location as it did in season 5, but from 2 or 3 locations at once. So now you're like the parallels are converging in a way. Um, we have the fakes. He was raised in foster care, just like Tom. He grew up not having any idea who he was, desperate for a family. And there is Liz, who's also she's talking about Red, and I think in a way she has to be talking a bit about Tom. Like there's things that came and you're desperate to believe it. In the case of Red, and I think in the case of and Janet did the same thing with Aram. In the case of Tom and in the case of Ren, I think that there is a real emotion in there that happened when you stay too long on the job, and I happen to think that Scotty Hargrave is the same thing with Howard.
I agree, 100% agree with that.
I faking somebody beaten. I mean, that came down to Sutton Ross.
Oh my gosh, that's all I could think of.
Yep.
I was like, this is
one more time, you gotta be harder.
The parallel is strong with this one.
Yeah. It was the one thing that impresses me about this the most is the parallel to Katerina pregnant. Because remember how Red described Katerina? She made the AGB trained you to create things that people would believe. So she was an expert in creating a fantasy that people would believe. And then you have a woman using a real baby to create a fantasy that he could believe, and then kill him, the child would be then. And then we have Katerina being pregnant, not being too happy about it. But then at the end, Liz becomes sort of a prop. She lives with Kate, but it's all and Constantine thinks it's all real. So the whole thing is started to come to me together. Like, this is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, lots of parallels going on here. And I liked it. I thought that I mean, and identity has always been a very deeply woven theme in this show. I mean, Ryan has a phenomenal interview. I think it was with a station in Mexico City or something like that. But he gave it several years ago talking about Tom and everything, and he was talking about identity. And it's one of my favorite interviews he's ever done, and just how deeply woven it is. And we've really seen it here in season 6. It's really, it's family. All of the themes are coming to head. Family is family enough. Is being blood, what do we overlook for that? What do, what do we
When the
overlook when
fantasy
we want
becomes
it?
real.
Yeah.
Because at one point, fantasy and reality start to come together, and you start
Mm-hmm.
losing. And you remember those ads that comes to a point where you don't
Mm-hmm.
know who you are. You
Yep.
don't know if the
The
dream is more
Mustang
real.
ads.
Yep,
I miss them driving Mustangs everywhere.
I
Uh,
know.
think of
But
it.
I noticed one thing about, and can we get into Liz
Hmm.
and Red?
I think they're definitely woven together. So let's.
Mm, yeah. Well, this episode not that much, but I found one thing interesting with Liz, and I was waiting for this to happen, and it's happened so gradually that I almost missed. But the point, it's hard to pinpoint when it happened. But if you notice, this was an ideal episode for Liz to mention Tom. She didn't. She didn't mention Agnes. I, the when Red said that he should have raised Liz, you always wonder why didn't he? And I think that what we're seeing now is why didn't he? She started as a revenge. She started giving Agnes away because she felt unable to be a parent, consumed with rage, afraid for her safety. Gives Agnes away and then goes into a revenge and then goes to heal. Then it turns out that she realizes it's a revenge. She starts going at it and then realizes it's Red. And by now, it's not anymore about Garvey. Now it's about who Red is. And she's getting so involved.
Red hasn't asked. That's another thing, is that I was really expecting him to ask about Agnes and when Agnes was coming home and all of this. He hasn't even broached the subject, at least not on screen. And I would think that would be a very important conversation between them. But he hasn't said, Garvey's dead. You found your revenge, whether you, and
Then he went into the skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that what we are seeing with Liz and Agnes and Tom is that it started because she was heartbroken about Tom. She was worried about not being a good parent to Agnes. By now, I think that honestly, for Liz, Tom has become an idea, but not a good one. And Agnes is a distant memory. Liz is now all about revenge and finding the truth.
Well,
It's an obsessive.
I think that Tom was a balance for her. He helped keep her grounded. He helped bring her back around. He
Light.
was, he was the light in her darkness, and she was the light in his. And so they helped balance each other that way. And without him, I think you're right in a way that looking at him and thinking about him and dwelling on him, one, she's going to be sad because she misses him, and two, thinking about what would Tom say if he were standing here. And I'm doing this, I've sent our child away, I'm letting this overtake me. He would say, chill out, we're moving to the Midwest. Let's go. We're running.
Let's go Boston.
Yeah, we're going to Boston, we're going to the Midwest, we're going to Cuba. Like, we're running. Come on. Like, we are not doing this, which is exactly, he was much more of a let's get out of here and Liz is much more, I'm in the bulldozer, I'm going.
Yeah.
And that's their different personality types. And I think that if she thought too long, if she let Tom's ghost stand with her and continue standing with her, that she would be torn. Even at least at moments, she would be torn by this. Mm-hmm. And if she let herself, and then she might second guess herself. And she's already second guessing herself with Red. But I think that that's just another level of it that she doesn't feel like she can have.
Yeah.
And so, that's...
But it's definitely we're seeing a parallel to Red. This is Red in the aftermath of that fire.
Every time someone said, I don't understand why they killed Tom, I said, I understand why they did it. I don't like the idea of Liz not having a happy ending. If they bring him back in the last episode and they get to have their life together, I will be okay. Even if Ryan's only there for 5 minutes, I will be okay as long as it's reasonable and I can wrap my head around it. My biggest issue with that is the fact that our leading lady has been so badly screwed over, and if it's a forever sort of thing. But I understand fully why they needed to kill Tom. I just thought it should have been a faked death. That's been my issue with it, is that it should have been a fake death. And it may still be, who knows. But regardless, they had to set her on the path. In my personal opinion, they're setting her on the path that Red was on. And so they're going to send them barreling down the same path. Red's, 30 years before, and Liz is now. And they're going to come to head at some point, and Liz is going to have to make the decision, am I going to be Raymond Reddington, or am I going to take a better path? And right now, she's following Red's path. She's becoming what she hates. And she's already started building her own team with Sharon Fulton, Dr. Sharon Fulton, the psychiatrist. She's sent her child away. Everything is dark and dangerous. She's been pushing people away. She's been alone and barreling forward. She basically
compromised the task force to send Red to jail without even half thinking what she was doing.
Yeah, I mean, and she seems to really be afterwards going, I didn't think he was going to get the death penalty, and it's bothering her a lot now. And so I think that the point will be, I certainly hope, that she's going to reach a point in which she finds herself at a crossroads and says, am I Elizabeth Keene? Am I the woman that I choose to be? Not Masha Rostova, Elizabeth Keene. Or do I become like the man that has just shattered my life? Do I become like Raymond Reddington? Whether it's, whether he's her father or not really doesn't matter at that. She needs to make a choice on if she's going to become him or choose herself. And she made that comment to Kirk in season 4. She said, no, I chose me. And I am looking forward to the day, and I'm desperate for the day where Liz chooses herself, because she's not right now. She's choosing everything dark and dangerous.
Well, I think that the thing that Liz cannot choose herself until Liz knows who she is.
That's a fair statement, yes.
And I think that Liz got so discombobulated and messed up when first she was, I think that she was living, my theory, and it makes a perfect sense that Liz was living among 3 households, calling 3 men father, being used to being Masha and Elizabeth and speaking Russian and English. And then she was sent away. She ended up shooting one of the parents. Then she's sent away from her mother and father. Her memory is erased, and she doesn't remember anything about them. It has to wonder, like, where did I get these things?
She also, not only does it's not that she doesn't remember anything about them, because she has regained some of her memories, but all she has is these terrible memories. And just like maybe splotches, like the vague moment that she had in her memory of Katerina at the Summer Palace. She does, but she had one thing to say that was real, but she doesn't know what's real, what's fake, and that has to be so disorienting and so screwed. I mean, she's just, I would have cracked long before she has. Yeah. And so I don't think she's beyond the point of turning. And I agree with you. I think she will need to know who she is, and then she can make that choice. And that will be her crossroads.
Do you think that, I know that a lot of people have talked about it, I even contemplated it, because I contemplate, believe it or not, every theory, even as crazy as it may seem, seriously, even for 10 minutes, I do look against all the stuff. Do you think that Jennifer could be a fake?
Could be. I mean, because we've certainly, with the fake siblings, that's definitely a possibility. She's definitely disconnected, and we've talked about the fact that she went from mild-mannered bartender to
the wet sack of clothes.
But she was not a wet sack of clothes. Oh, shush. You guys should see Tessa's face. It's priceless right now. But she went from mild-mannered bartender to... I mean, but I'm not sure she would be fake, particularly because Ian knew her. Ian Garvey knew her.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we
but
have a long history from her from 1990
yes.
up until the...
So no, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, so that is not possible.
But I do think she is probably more than we were led to believe originally. Because what I was going to say, and this still stands, even though the Jennifer imposter theory is now gone. But what still stands is that she was introduced to us as this mild-mannered individual. And since then, since she came and was able to kind of, entrench herself in Liz's current life in this investigation, she's really been pushing and manipulating. She's proven herself to be a very good manipulator. And Liz, like we talked about last time, she said, well, at least we've got family out of this. Because that's all she wants is family. And Jennifer says, that's not enough. And so, and then turns around and produces a new piece of evidence to keep them on track. And so I really do, Liz was having second thoughts. And she came and said, well, oh, look, we hit a dead end. At least we have each other. And I think Jennifer was manipulating on that. No, it's not enough. We have to have answers. And oh, look, here's this new piece of evidence to keep Liz on that trail. I will stick around. I will be your sister as long as we are doing this. That is the name of the game here. And so I do think she is a whole lot more than she was first presented as, which is par for the course for the Blacklist. I would expect nothing less.
And I actually, I don't really know if she is, because that I think that Reddy's been Reddington for a long time. Whether there was another Reddington, I don't know. Or that was just like Legat, a name invented in order to run operations. Maybe there were two guys being... By the way...
I was going to say, that's sort of... There was something close to that. They were partners in my story, Breathe Again Beneath the Flames. They were partners. The man that he took the identity of sorts was a partner. They looked like brothers. They were identical. And so he took the last, he took the name when he died to help protect, basically.
I honestly think that, the guy who was with Sejuk was him. The guy who was, with Cooper was him. It all goes back to 1985, 84. That I can trace him. Now, let me ask you something. This is the second time that says Red represent himself. This is time actually Red does represent himself. They said that in season 1. And now again, it says we're both in the law. Your job is to uphold it. My job is to break it. Do you think it's possible that Red went to the Naval Academy, but not in counterintelligence, but maybe in law?
Be interesting.
It just like it's been bothering me since I first heard that he represent himself, but then it turned out that he had Marvin Gerard, and Marvin Gerard was defending him. But of course, Marvin Gerard was a criminal attorney. But I just wonder. The way that Red speak is most akin to a lawyer speaking.
Yeah,
precise.
Part of that I think is Alan Shore from Boston Legal that James
Boston
was.
Illegal?
Isn't that what it's called?
Now they're calling it Boston. This is Boston Illegal.
Well, I'm just saying that James proved to be so good at that. I've not personally seen it, but I've heard it's a very good show. But it's on the list. It's just not on any of my streaming options, so I haven't had a chance to yet. And so I honestly thought that it was a chance to kind of let him play at that, and play up to that and give his fans a nice nod. And it was fun. Because it's Red. I've had a lot of fun with Red representing himself. I've actually been fond of him with it.
Judge Wilkins is so much falling for Red.
He's charming. That's part of the problem. Is he's so freaking charming. I don't remember who it was. Somebody, and it's probably been several people, that the kind of stuff that he's pulled since season 1, since the show was started, that if they had cast pretty much anybody else in that role, he wouldn't have been nearly as loved by the fans. Like, he wouldn't have gotten away with but you have women out there that are just fawning over this man and treating Liz like the dirt beneath his feet because, well, it's Red, and yelling at her for something she's done when Red has done that and more. But because James is freaking charming.
Well, you have the same thing with Tom. Tom does you're a worm. Red does
mm-hmm.
Oh, it's beautiful. What a wonderful thing. He so deserved it.
Yeah. And so, it's and I'm not saying, Brian's very charming. I've met the man. He's incredibly charming in person. But James Spader is just in a league of his own with that. He's just it's a vibe he gives. It's mm-hmm. incredible. And I don't think that Red, I know that I'm trying to remember who they were looking at. They were looking at casting someone else for Red originally.
Kiefer Sutherland, and it would so not work.
No, it would have been an entirely different show. And
much darker.
And no, James was the only option. And it should have always been the only option.
Did you think about Tom when we found the people in the dining chairs? Tom that seemed to spend so much time tied to the dining chair.
Poor Tom. He got stabbed and shot and tied to things so often.
But we have a dog. We have a...
Yeah, I didn't, but yeah.
Yeah. Tom tied to the chair and people around the dining chair.
I was trying to figure out what the guy was doing. He kept... Not only... I thought when he leaned the head was leaned back, I thought maybe the mouth fell open just in general with gravity, But when he leaned... Van Ness, was that his name? Van Ness's head back, he pulled the mouth open, and I have no idea why. Do you have any idea?
It was just eerie.
Okay.
So everybody was like that.
No, the wife wasn't.
Huh?
The wife
wasn't.
wasn't.
Everybody had the mouth open.
Wife didn't. Go back and look at it. Wife did not.
But when he did that, no?
I think her mouth was closed when he walked in.
Well... Did you also remember Dembe taking the liquid from Solomon when they offer her, you have to take this or you're... I thought about that scene too when they offer him that thing with the And the dog, they killed the dog. That's wrong, people.
No
don't
kill
killing
dogs.
Babies, no killing animals.
Yep. You can't come back from that. They did that to Kate, the dog Kate.
Yeah.
They like to kill dogs. I guess poor Hudson should count himself lucky that he just disappeared into the ether somewhere because at least he didn't die.
I think he was another one of St. Regis. He finished his job.
Spy dog.
He left.
Spy dog.
Yeah, he just left. That's why I prefer to think about it. And anyway, thank you. I got a lot of my themes. There was a record playing for Grief. There was plenty plaid everywhere, especially with the whole Tim situation, and everybody was wearing plaid. It's they're all there.
I thought it was. I had another thing before we jump too far into that. So, have we gone over the quote, the fantasy quote? I don't think so. So we touched on it briefly. But there was this beautiful quote in there. It broke my heart. It said, "You wanted the fantasy to be real. You wanted a family. I know what it's like to be fooled by people you think are family." And I'm sure I have my Tumblr so well blocked. People blocked off. I haven't actually seen anything on this, and I don't delve into the Blacklist tag.
For you.
Oh no, I would like some self-preservation of my sanity. I just won't do it. But as soon as she said that, I was like, I immediately went to, the haters are gonna immediately go to Tom, and that is very much meant for Red. I actually just put together a set on Tumblr putting the gifts together with the quote. And it breaks my heart because she wanted him to be her father. She wanted to overlook everything he'd done and to accept him for who he was and to work with him. And I mean, early season 5, she was so happy. And she trusted him and she gave him her trust, and she feels like he just spit in her face with it. And that's one reason she's so angry. And it broke my heart to hear her say that, but it was so poignant. So well done. I loved that quote.
I think it was also meant to go back to, the first key marriage too. Because, I mean, even though at the end she realized that there was something real, which in this case it wouldn't have. I mean, that woman couldn't, she was so ready to kill him.
I thought for a moment the sister might have, the fake sister was going to pause and be the voice of reason here. But because she kind of, when they said go get the pills, she said they're in my room. And the guy, motioned her over there, with the gun. She seemed very hesitant, like, we're going to just kill this guy right now, like this, and she was the only one hesitant about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And kind of like it went further than she ever wanted it to go. And she just kept digging herself deeper and deeper with it. And so I thought maybe she would be the voice of reason there, but nope. She was not.
No, but it was interesting because at the end, it reminded me that scene a bit of, there he goes. And it's funny because she's going to jail, but when the kid is born, he can reclaim the kid, and now he's going to have a family.
Yeah, I thought about that if Tim gets him. I hope so, and I hope that helps him grow up some, and that maybe he can. Of course, now he's mixed up with the criminals, and so who knows if he's going to cut ties with them, and it was just a one-time deal, or if he's now running his whatever.
Or maybe he has a knack for things. Yeah, I mean, obviously the father had it, so like father, like son.
Maybe. I mean. Who knows, but we'll see.
He was already a small-time criminal, just like Liz was a small-time criminal.
He really wasn't a small-time criminal. He was in jail for getting into a bar fight.
Yeah, but small, and for, doing small things. But there was, I thought that definitely there was a little bit of going back to Liz and Tom at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I think that what people tend to forget about Liz is everything that she has believed has been turned upside down
again and again and again
and everything, and people tend to forget when they start with hating Jennifer, is that Jennifer has had the exact same happen to her, because she knew that her mother had met this guy and obviously knew who she was. So either they've been hiding for a lie, or she knew that this guy was not her father and didn't come for her. So either way, she knew that her mother had lied to her entire life. Her father goes around saving the sister and having this great time with her. And meanwhile, she's what, chopped liver?
Yeah. There was no good answer for her.
No, there is no way that she can come out of this and say, well, they did this, unless they sit down with them and explain what happened. All these two women have is a rage at being lied to their entire lives.
Which is not, I mean, how can you blame them? I mean, I know a lot of people in the fandom do, but like, I look at that and go, I get it. I mean, like I said earlier, I would have broken a lot earlier than Liz, I think.
And especially when you take into consideration, I mean, Liz doesn't know this, but fans do. They know that the reason why Red can't tell the truth to Liz is that he doesn't know. It's not like, oh, there is so much danger, or this could happen. No. Why can't you tell her the truth? Why can't you be honest? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That,
I don't know how to say it. In season 1, it was, I don't know how to say it.
You want to know the turning point for me with Red? was that. It was not actually 508. It was...
Yeah, that was 508.
Was that... Okay, so it was. But it wasn't Tom dying. That was not the turning point for me with Red. It was the moment that he said...
I don't know.
I'm keeping the secret and I don't know why. And so it made it, to me, up until that point, I had always given him the benefit of the doubt with whatever it is. There was this massive thing looming and he's just doing his best to protect her in any way he knows how. He's doing it badly. He keeps putting her in danger. He keeps screwing up. He's not doing it well, but he's doing the best he can, give the man a gold star. And then that happened and I went, well, never mind. I guess you're just an ass.
And we that was not just something thrown out in there.
No.
In season 1, Tom said, and Dembe said you have to tell her about Tom, and you do that by telling her everything. And I don't know how to do that. And then he had a letter for her with a caretaker in season 3. And that was if something happened to him. And he's also told Dom. In season 4, he said to Dom, you have to go find her and tell her who you are. So it's not that it's literally, he doesn't know how to tell her.
He's protecting himself. That's all. And that's
either
what frustrates
fear
me.
Or shame or a combination of the above, because those are the only things that would make it okay for her to know once he's dead, but not while he's living.
He is protecting himself. And that's what turned me against Red. Because, like I've said, he and Wrestler used to bounce back and forth for me for my second favorite. Liz has taken a baseball bat and shoved him out of the way. Red, not Ress. I still love Ress. But to me, that is just horrifying to see. I don't, and it may go back to James's charm that I expected and wanted more from him.
Yeah, I also think there is something in that saving the soul. What would make you lose your soul?
Well, if you die dishonestly. I mean, it's that idea, that if you die without confessing your sins, I don't know. Is that I know that's Catholicism, but is it? I don't even know. Does Red have a religion? Does he follow anything? No, he doesn't.
My theory, he's Russian Orthodox.
Well, it might be, or at least traditionally. But he made the comment one time that if he believed in God, he'd have to believe in something bigger than himself, and he couldn't do that or something like that.
Yeah, but it's not just what Red thinks, because it's what Dembe thinks.
Yeah. And
so
I did like the
soul.
Did you see a little bit of the parallel between Anslo Garrick and this episode with the Dembe coming to the cage? And
I missed that one. That was so good.
I did see it. Reminds me I need to make that set. But yeah, that's I mean, it wasn't, obviously Dembe didn't have a gun to his head, thankfully, but I just thought about it with the prayer that they were praying together and him coming as the spiritual advisor.
Yeah.
It was a very spiritual sort of moment in there.
The one thing is when Red described why Dembe stayed with him, he said that I was an angrier. I didn't believe that there was any real love or loyalty or friendship. So he had felt betrayed, and in that spirit of betrayal, he did something, and I think he's ashamed of that something he did. And that has to do with Katerina.
Yeah,
that's what I think, that he sent her away.
Be interesting. I hope we find out. I'm still waiting I still think she'll show up eventually.
Oh, unless, I know you don't believe in that. But unless she is, we have met her and she faked her death again. But we are definitely seeing something a lot more of Katerina and Liz. I mean, she's every episode she looks a little more manipulative, less caring about who she hurts.
okay, here's a question for you. Do you believe her worry for Red in jail, in prison, and the tears and the remorse, even though she's not admitting it, that she seems to be very distraught over that? Do you believe that, or do you think it's an act?
I think it is part and part.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think that she thought things through. I honestly think that Jennifer was the one who did it, because he was saying to Jennifer, like, how much, how easy it is to evade, the FBI and American justice. Here goes Jennifer and says, "Oh, really? You didn't come back for me because there were all this cabal people and weird stuff, but now you're good because you're just against that. Yeah, let me show you something."
Well, the thing is that Liz made the comment when they were drinking in her apartment that she was the one that turned him in. Now that could be Jennifer's voice on the recording, yes, because even if she told Jennifer where to find them, and we do have that clip from when and I thought it was supposed to be for the next episode, after the first episode, but they do that this season on the Blacklist sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And we saw Jennifer being led out of an apartment, beaten and bloodied and led away by people. And so I do wonder
when she was beaten and bloodied, she wasn't led away. She was fine then. Those are two different scenes. There's one where she's being led by guys in
okay,
riot team and like full like bodysuits and Kevlar vests.
Is this the preview?
I have a picture in my website, and then there's another that she has, but that was just from her Instagram, and I don't know if even because she was working on two shows.
I'll have to go. Because she's also doing The Purge. But I'll have to show you the video. I'll have to find it and show you. But she was being led out of an apartment and stuff. This was on
with two people, and she seemed to have like her hands tied or something.
And so I do wonder if she's the one that whose voice is on, and that Liz is more worried for her than for herself right now. Because I think that Liz is aware that Red would not kill her. I don't think that she would think, but she's already stated that she knows that there's a good chance he would kill Jennifer.
Yeah, I think that is, yeah, I mean, it's the situation they're creating is very complex. I just wish that they got there faster. Because I worry all the time that they are banking on a 7th season, and then they get canceled and we are left with nothing. And that would royally piss me off.
Oh, I would be so angry. And oh gosh. No, I honestly, and this is, I don't know this for sure, but I would like to think that NBC would give them enough of a heads up. And that also that the Johns are aware enough with the ratings and have good advisors to start gearing something a certain direction. I hope so. I mean, these guys are all professionals. They know the industry. They know what they're doing. And so, I mean, while you can't make a definite prediction and you always, they're always going to hope they get another season because otherwise everybody's looking for a job. I mean, I get that, but it's also a very up in the air sort of industry in which you never know. And so I would hope that there's enough information that they have available to them, whether it's from the network, whether it's from, what have you, that they've got a good idea. And so, whether 6 is it or they have a half season, I can't see them getting a whole full 7th season, having gotten
not the way they're stretching these things.
I mean, having gotten shoved back like they did, and I mean, we had a 9-month hiatus, and then got put on Friday nights on NBC.
And,
I mean, that wasn't a good thing for them.
Had like six canon facts, and I mean, there was great episodes, but they all felt like
so stretched.
You're stretching this so thin. It's like a wafer by now.
They've always had pacing trouble, but it's been bad lately.
And I have a feeling that I know why is that, because once they reveal one of the facts, everything is going to fall into place. It's like when you're assembling a puzzle and you got like pieces here, and the pieces are kind of half assembled, but you cannot not know what picture you're seeing because you're missing the connecting piece. And once you put one of those connecting pieces and you put two or three pieces together with that connecting piece, suddenly you know what you're looking at.
And so, hopefully, though, I mean, we're five episodes in. So, I mean, out of a 22 episode season, I mean, I think a lot of it is our brains are immediately going, but we're in the spring, so we should be, spring season, we should be further along than this. But it's really 5 episodes in.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I know that my brain's had trouble adjusting to just straight through.
Mine
the
doesn't.
season.
Mine sees 5 episodes, 3 canon facts. I'm missing at least 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll
give me
see.
at least 1 and be okay.
We'll see. I mean, I expected more out of this season. For that reason, I expected more mythology. So we'll see.
Yep.
All
So
right.
I think I'm wrapped up. We're wrapped up in here.
Yep. So you guys can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, and you can listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Until next
See
time.
you next week.
Oh, and well, maybe not next week because I will actually be in New York. So keep an eye out on Facebook and Tumblr, and because Tessa and I are going to be in the same vicinity for weird times. So maybe we'll make a video like we did last
Yay!
time.
We'll record an episode,
Yeah.
or at least a very short thing in which we talk about.
Yes. All right. You guys have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye.